Okay, so let's start making the God mode for Pokemon Essentials version 16. Now, first of all, I'm going to start the project file in RPG Maker XP. Once that is open, I will just go back to the already made God mode for version 18. Now, version 18 and version 20 will already be shared through the mega link in the previous video and also in this video. So just download the version 18 from that link. And inside that, just open the game.rxproj and then just go to the bottom, copy the Nirvana map and paste it into this. After that, next thing we are going to do is start adding the variables. So we will just open this particular box that is 14,23 in coordinates. So just double click that, click on this arrow, then just increase the max by 4. Click on this, select the first one, apply, OK, and same thing here. Once that is done, you can just go to the GM toolkit, start the script copier, and for that you need to open the terminal in this folder. Then just type python script copy.py. After that, since the game is not using version 19, we are just going to press enter because no is the default option. After that, the check variable was 101. So the check variable is basically the first variable that we added. So basically the first one after the last max. So since it was 100, I added 4. So the first variable is 101. After that, just press enter. Now the map ID is here. So this is the map ID for Nirvana, which is 22. After that, the coordinate X and Y are basically the coordinate where the player is going to spawn after he or she uses the teleport option. So this tile is the one that I'm going to be using so that the player will be teleported to this particular tile, the coordinates of which are 14,23. So I'm going to type 14 for X and 23 for Y. Now here it's going to ask for last initialized value in module input. What you need to do is just click on the script editor, then just go to the module input. And if you don't know where that is, you just need to go for Pokemon systems, P system controls in at least version 16. And here you can see the module input. Even if you are not able to find the module input using this name, you can just press Ctrl+Shift+F and type module input directly. Oh, my bad, I did a spelling mistake. So after that, you can see that it basically gets you the module input. Now there can be two of them. We need to go for the controls one, at least for this section. So here you can see F9 was initialized with 29. So 29 is the last number that was initialized. Now it could be possible that this list is not sorted. So just look out for any value that's larger than the last value above. But in my case, it is already sorted. So 29 is the last initialized value. So I'll just type that here. After that, the input is complete. Now you just need to start using the scripts. So I'll just go for the scripts page, that is 1. That has been copied. Now I'll just go to any script below. I just prefer the second last script, so I just use this, click on insert, and I'll insert one more. So I'll just add random is equals to. So after that, I'll just go to this one. I'll name it God mode scripts. You don't need to name this is optional. After that, just paste what is copied in your clipboard, apply that. After that, just go to the second one, which is pause menu codes. Now this is another menu. We need to first initialize the new options, so just type 1, press enter. Then now here we are going to look for the pause menu. So where is the pause menu? Let's see. Okay, so here it is. Now here you need to look for these. So here are the initializations of the variables. I'll just paste what was copied into the clipboard here, and these spaces are optional. I'm just adding so it looks good. Now here I prefer adding the option after the debug option, so just go to this line, press enter, go back to the scripts, select the second option, press enter, and paste it here. After that, just go below and see for some else if. So like here, and below that you need to add the third one. You can use any else if. You just need to see that this is the function that basically is checking for which option the player is selecting in the menu. So like here we started adding the options. So for example, we have let's say CMD debug here, and after that we add the CMD debugs function using this part. So this basically means that the option will only be visible if the debug is there. So this particular line is initializing the option that's physically visible to the user. And after that, basically this particular loop checks for what to do when the particular option is selected. So in this loop, we are checking for if CMD Pokédex was selected, then do this, all this, and same for everything else. So I just added an else if. It doesn't really matter where you add this, but it should be inside this particular if. I mean, this should be inside this particular loop. After that, you can just apply, and since the third one is done, you can now press 0 and exit the pause menu options, and then go to the control codes. So the third one. Now here we are going to use the second one first because the script is above. It doesn't really matter. I'll just show you what the first one does as well. So I'm just choosing the second one first, and then here it says go to key initialization scripts, usually Pokemon controls, and add the keys. Paste the copied text after the last initialization in module input. So we need to go back where we saw those numbers. So in order to do that, I'll just go back to the P systems controls, and here we can see the module input. Now below F9, I just need to paste what's copied. Now again, I'm just adding these spaces for looks. It doesn't really matter if you add them or not. And after that, you need to come down to this self.button to key, and here you can see that there are multiple initializations of the keys. So here below F9, I need to again press enter, go back one time, and here as you can see it's already waiting for my input. So press enter when you're done. I'll just press enter, and the second part is copied. Now here I'm going to paste that and apply. So F10 and F11 have been added. Basically what we are doing is we are first initializing what F10 and F11 are. So here we added them, F10 and F11. So 30 and 31 are basically the ID for this particular variable. So it doesn't really matter what number you use here, but it will matter what you use here. So this 0x79 and 0x7a basically tell the game that we are pressing the F10 or F11 button. Now if you want to add any custom keys, you need to know these 0x thingies. So in order to do that, I have already added a PDF inside this GM toolkit. So inside the other useful stuff, you can just go to the virtual key codes PDF file, and inside that you can see basically everything. So here let me just show you the F10. So here you can see VKF10 is 0x79, which is the one that I used here. So you can use this PDF to add custom keys, but I don't think you are going to be doing that. So anyways, So the control codes is complete. Now we can exit that. Now next is splitter text. This is not necessary. This is not even going to be useful for anything. I just use it to split the scripts. So you can just ignore this one. Next up is going to be the PBS extract page. Just type 5, press enter, go back to the scripts, go back to this, just add another script here and name it. You can name it anything or you can just keep it blank, but I'll just name it as PBS extract script. I'll paste that here. And I think I forgot to add one thing. So in the control codes, I forgot to do the first part. So that is the key press action. You have to select that and go to P system systems. So you just need to go to P system systems, and inside that you can see at the bottom that we have module input again, and this time we have def self.update. So this basically tells us what that particular key is going to do when it is triggered. Triggered means when it is pressed. So here we have input F8, which basically takes a screenshot, and then we have F7, which uses this function, but this function will only work when the $B debug is already there or we are in the console mode. So we are going to be changing that. Now what you need to do here, select this particular part, that is the trigger F7, till the end, and then just press just press Control V. So like paste the script that is already copied. After you apply, this basically means that now in this case we are going to be using PB toggle debug mode in order to F7 will use this function to toggle the debug. Then input alt will toggle the God speed, F6 will teleport, and if we are already in the map, so if 101 variable that we initialized before is 0, that means we are not in the Nirvana map, so it will use the PB teleport. If it is 1, then we will use PB teleport back because we are in the Nirvana map. Now next up is the F10. So it basically uses this function, which is the PB instant party heal, and F11 uses toggle select style. So whether you want to select items or Pokemons or moves from IDs or the actual list. Now once that is done, you can just exit this, and we have already added the PBS extract page. Next up is going to be the catch trainer Pokemon. So I'm just going to select that, and here you can see the information. You need to search for PB is snack ball ? So just go back to this, Control Shift F, PB is snag ball ? After you search that, we need to go to this particular one, which is Poke Battle. Go to jump, and here you can see these 4 lines actually are basically responsible for stopping the player from catching someone else's Pokemon. So what we need to do is just go to the line above, press enter, paste the line that is copied, and then just select these 3 lines and press tab. After that, you need to end this particular if condition. So that is done. So basically in this case what will happen is we are checking if the user has pressed the control button. So if the user has pressed the control button, we are completely skipping this part. If the user has not, we are also checking for this thing. So basically that means if the user is pressing control, they can catch the Pokemon of any other Pokemon trainer. Let's apply that and go back to the terminal. Now that's done. Now we need to do the 7th. So I'll just press 7 and press enter. Now I'll just go back and I need to show you where we need to do this. So here we have go to Pokemon storage, class Pokemon storage, and add the copied function to the class. Add a new event that uses the function. Now this third one is not necessary for you, so just ignore the third line. Now we need to do this. So what we need to do is just click we can either just go directly to the Pokemon storage script, which you can usually find by just looking through the scripts, and you can usually just find it here. So here we have P screen storage, and I'm sure this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. So we have the class Pokemon storage. Now these script names can be something else, but you can do one thing, which is just Control Shift F and just type class Pokemon storage and just start search. So you can usually find it by here. Usually the first one is the one that we need, so just jump on it, and we were already here, so it doesn't matter. Now below the max box is just press enter 2 times and just paste it. So after that you can just apply and click on OK. Now you can save, and yeah, so that's everything done. Now after saving, I'll just start the game. Okay, so the game is muted. Now I can press Alt to enable the Godspeed. Godspeed seems to be working. After that, I'll just open the game. Now first thing I'm going to check is going to be F6. So F6 is working, no info needed. And after that I can just go back and save once, so that the game remembers that I've already seen Nirvana Map once. After that I'm going to check F7. So debug mode is activated and the debug menu is present here. Now before I do anything else, I need to press, I haven't added that. So before you use the ID selection, you need to have the IDs folder. Now in order to generate the IDs folder, you need to run the PBS extract script. So here just go to the PBS extract script, double click this function name, copy it, go to P system systems and change, or rather add this before the screenshot function, and add a hashtag so that the screenshot function does not run for F8. Now apply OK, save the game, go back to the game. You need to do this only one time. Once the IDs are generated, you don't need to extract the IDs again and again. So I'll just open the game, and here I just need to press F8. Species list generated, items list, and moves list. So once that is done, you can just close the game and remove the hashtag and the function for extracting the PBS. Now we have the God mode, so it should work. Godspeed enabled. Let's start the game, and now we can enable the debug, go to the debug mode, and let's say we want to add a Pokemon. So let's add Pokemon. Okay, so as you can see, it's still giving you the list. Now in order to change that, what you need to do is change some things in the debug script. So what you need to do is just go back to the scripts here, and here you need to go to the debug line. So here you need to see the PB debug menu. Now here you can see the add item. Now just double click that and press Ctrl F, find next, and you can see here we have this particular line. So here what you need to do is just as you can see, we are here checking for what we need. So here we need to add if not PB new select style, then this, else item is equals to PB choose item ID end, and that should basically use the PB choose item ID in the God mode scripts. So here I'll just explain you what all of this is. So basically this one is checking for whether the maximum level variable exists in the game or not. This I added because of the fact that version 18 and before have different variables for these two, and we are using these two in the Nirvana map. So this is just for checking whether or not this particular variable exists. If it exists, then we will just create a new variable with the real value. Same for bag max per slot. After that, we have the PB choose Pokemon ID. Now here what we are doing is basically taking the maximum number of Pokemon species in the game, and then after that we are just creating a new basically the number selector. So this is basically the code for the number selector. The help text basically tells is the text that basically comes when you are selecting the number. So all of this is just to get the number from the user. So the max num is the maximum number of the species, so basically what the maximum number of Pokemon is. The same thing is here for items, and the same thing for moves. And after that we have the PB teleport. So the PB teleport script is responsible for teleporting the player into another map. So the variable 101 was basically for checking whether or not the player is already in the Nirvana map or not. 102 stores the map ID that the player was before the map. 102 was basically responsible for storing the map ID of the map that the user was inside before they teleported to Nirvana. And then the X and Y coordinates here are stored into 103 and 104 for the map that the user was in before Nirvana. So basically the 101 to 104 variables are being used to store the information of user's previous location. And here we are basically changing the player's current map to 22, so that's the Nirvana map. And here we are changing the player's new coordinates, and then the player new direction 2 basically means that the player will be facing north. And finally we are changing the scene and transferring the player, which basically like shows you the new map instead of the old map. After that we are refreshing the map, and we are setting the variable 101 to 1. That means that the player is currently in Nirvana. Now the reverse of that happens in PB teleport. So we are changing the player's current map to the map that we stored in 102. Then we are changing the X and Y coordinates to the X and Y coordinates stored in 103 and 104. And finally we are using the same direction that is north for the old map. Again we are transferring the player, and we are refreshing the map and setting 101 back to 0, which means the player is currently not in the Nirvana map. Default frame rate basically stores the frame rate that the game developers have set in this particular variable, which basically tells the game how fast to render the frames. That is used for PB God speed. So whatever the frame rate is, I'm multiplying it by 4. Whenever we toggle the God speed, it basically checks if the current frame rate is exactly equal to the default frame rate. If it is, then we are multiplying the current frame rate by 4, and if it is not, then we are setting it back to the default frame rate. Next up is the Pokemon debug toggle. So if debug is already toggled, so $debug basically is a game variable that tells us whether or not debug is already toggled or not. So $debug can have true or false. If $debug means if it is positive or true, then we are going to just change it back to false and say that the debug mode is deactivated. Otherwise we are going to enable it, and then we are saying that it's activated. PB instant party heal is just what it sounds like. It goes through all of your Pokemons in your party, and then it uses the heal function and tells you that the Pokemons were healed. Now the new select style is what basically toggles between whether or not you want to change the Pokemon or add Pokemon using IDs or the list. So we are just storing the trigger style in a file that's generated when you generate the PBS folder. So I mean the IDs folder. So here we have trigger. Now here you can see the trigger is 1, which means that we are going to use the ID style. So 1 means enabled, which means the ID selection, and if it is something else than 1, then it is just the old style, the list selection. Then we have the toggle select style. This is basically opening the file and checking whether the file has 1 or 0. If it has 1, then it changes to 0, and if it has 0, then it changes to 1. Add storage boxes basically gives you a message and asks you how many boxes you want between 1 and 99. You can select the number, and then it basically uses the add box function that we added earlier to add the number of storage boxes that you choose into your storage box. Get all Pokemon basically is this is not get all Pokemon, this is get all Pokemon level. So basically this asks you for a number for the level of all the Pokemons that you're getting. And this is the function for PB get all Pokemon. This basically first asks you what level you want, and then it basically goes through every single Pokemon in the game, and then it will just try to get the Pokemon. If it can get the name, it will add to your party or the storage automatically. If it cannot get the name, then it will not add it. So basically it does not give you any Pokemon that is corrupted or basically has the name but does not exist in the game. So there are possibilities of that, and I have seen that before. Anyways, so this is all of the god mode scripts, and let's just go back to the debug, and here we need to change some of the things. So here we have changed if not pp new select style. So this function is also present in there, which basically gets whether or not you, so pb new select style. Okay, yeah, so this one basically checks whether or not the file has 1 or not. So if it has if it has 1, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false, which basically means if it has 1, then we want to use the ID style, otherwise we do not want to use the ID style. So here just a second, so what's the name? So pb new select style, we are going to go here. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, okay, so basically if this is not 1, if this is not true, then we are going to use the list style, otherwise we are going to use the ID style. Now we need to do this for the moves and the Pokemon species as well, but we do not need to do it every single time. What we can do is just first of all we need to look for the add Pokemon function here. So oh my bad, I need to just search it here, add Pokemon. So here you can see this is using the function pb choose species ordered. Now we can just change this function to do the same, and this will work for basically add Pokemon, and when we go to fight a random Pokemon in this debug menu, and also double fight, and as well as in the Pokemon debug. So in the Pokemon debug, when you change the species, it also uses this particular function. So if we change this function, we will not have to change 4 of the species equals to whatever that is. So what we need to do is just select this, Control Shift F, and add a def at the beginning, space, and start search. Now as you can see, it is only here, so just jump to it. And here what we can do is just go one line below and just type if pb new select style. So if the new select style is there, then what we can do is just return pb choose Pokemon ID. So what this will do is basically if we are using the new style, then it will just directly go to the function that allows you to select the species ID, and then returns the number. This will basically work for every single place that this is used. So we need to do the same for pb choose species here, that's just above it, and you can just paste it here. So we have done that. Now in this file you need to also change this for, yeah, this is the one. So pb choose move list, again you need to just paste that here, and instead of Pokemon choose id you need to add Pokemon pb choose move id, and that should work. I'll just check whether or not this is the correct function, so I need to search that. And we have p screen party. Okay, yeah, that's the correct function. So p screen party basically has the debug mode for species. So here you can see when you go and change your Pokemon's species, then you can see it's using the pb choose species function that we just changed. After that I think it should be done, so I'll just restart the game here. So adding a Pokemon, now it gives me this. And after that I can just go to the IDs, go to the Pokemon species. Let's say I want a Pikachu, so that's 25. I'm going to be selecting that, and I have a 55 level Pikachu. No, and I'll just go here. So yeah, we have this. Okay, so at this point the debug mode, the God mode is ready to use. If there are any issues you can just let me know and I will help you out, and you can join my Discord server to also get help, but make sure your account is at least 24 hours in age, because otherwise it will be just banned. Anyways, this is the God mode for Pokemon Essentials version 16. Now if you are thinking why am I making for Pokemon Essentials, basically the reason is that there are a lot of games that are made in Pokemon Essentials, and I cannot give you a guide for every single one of them. So what I was thinking is that you can use multiple of these videos and see the structure of these games and codes, and basically what I do to make these God modes, which will basically give you an idea of what exactly to do when it comes to a game. Now if a game is using something else than what is shown here, then I will surely be able to help you, but I'm not sure if there is a solution for whatever problem is there. So what I suggest is going through these guides and trying to make God modes for the game you want. And you can download these Pokemon Essentials version 16 to 20 and look at the code, and you can just take a guess at which version the game that you are trying to hack is using, and then just go for the guide I create. After that, if you get any errors, you can just tell me, I will help you out, but you need to first try and make them on your own. So that was Pokemon Essentials version 16 God mode. The next one will be version 17. And yeah, that's pretty much it.